So this isn't our usual setup, and you know what? New year, new me. This is kind of still awkward for me to sit down and talk. Usually I'm like on the go while I'm filming, but today is gonna be a different video. Say hi, Harley boy. Don't look at me, look at the camera. Look it. So today's video is gonna be about balance. If you've been keeping up with my social media, then you know I started a TikTok blog. Like, it's not like anything different, it's just like it's on TikTok. Pretty much I've been doing a couple like posts every now and then. Well, not every now and then, but frequent. And in one of my posts I mentioned balance, and so I wanted to talk more about it on my channel and kind of explain what it means to have balance and how we can navigate that in this new year and, you know, promote wellness in our own lives. So when it comes to balance, there's usually 4 areas of wellness. There's emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical wellness. If you're usually focusing only on one specific area, sometimes those other areas become out of balance, and then it just weighs you down in life, and sometimes it can be, I guess, crucial if you don't learn how to balance all 4. It is important to try and maintain balance. You know, not everyone's perfect, so like everyone's gonna slip every now and then. It takes many years to achieve full balance, and even then, once you hit that spot, you're constantly learning and evolving, so it's not always gonna be permanent. Starting with emotional wellness. So I previously mentioned in another TikTok blog that how you can achieve emotional wellness. Half the time it's our own feelings, like our emotions that we feel, and sometimes it can be a lot to navigate, and especially as women we tend to carry a lot, and so it's like, where do we find balance in that? For example, one can have a lot of like worry and a lot of sadness, and it's just learning how to identify those emotions and how to navigate them and how to manage them as well. What can emotional wellness can look like? Often it can look like journaling, it can look like setting boundaries, it can look like pretty much anything and everything that you think it is. It just depends on you as a person and how you want to go about it. How can we achieve emotional wellness? Boundaries. So I know boundaries can be a tricky thing to navigate. Most of the time it's about knowing when to say no, knowing when to take a step back for yourself, for your emotional wellness, your mental wellness, everything, all in the above. One thing I've learned is to set mini boundaries. So like, for example, is being okay with, you know, being, I guess, putting your own priorities first. I know one thing I struggled with is saying no, and half the time when I would say no, I would feel bad about saying no. So it's just knowing that your priorities and what you're working on comes first and is more important before you can help others. Setting many boundaries is just like, my room is a boundary, so a lot of the time I don't want people in my room while I'm not here. Most of the time, because you know, my nieces, they live with me and they're kids, they're gonna get into stuff and they still are learning to clean up after themselves. So one boundary I like to set is to let people know, like, hey, when I'm not in my room, please don't go in there. You wouldn't like it if I went in there and, you know, made a mess in your room. So that's an example that I can give you. It's things like that, setting small boundaries. As far as like talking about mental health or talking about personal problems with relatives, if you don't, I think that's something that I've always struggled with too, because a lot of the time growing up I used to confide in my parents a lot about how I felt, but as I got older I became more independent and more headstrong, to the point to where, you know, talking about how I really feel can be, my parents grew up in a different generation, so they think of things differently compared to the way I think of things, so sometimes it can lead us to butting heads a lot. So a boundary that I set up with one of my parents is like not talking about my mental health. Mostly because I've learned that, you know, that person needs time to get to where they are to understand the way I see things. And you know, I'm glad I did so, because now that person is starting to see what I've been trying to explain to them, and you know, they're getting their own help with their own emotional needs, and it's gotten better. So I'm very lucky to have parents that are willing to put in the work and to understand me better, their children, all their children better, as well as their grandchildren. And so not everyone is lucky, but sometimes setting boundaries is knowing when to remove yourself from the situation. It can, you know, a lot of people don't want to cut out people that are not bringing them what they need to, what they need in their life, and it can be very sad to kind of cut out people like that, but sometimes it is needed. It is needed in order for yourself to grow. Identifying triggers. So I know one thing, you know what, it's kind of hard. I have my own family issues, and I know what were my triggers in the past and what they are currently now. I know one thing that I struggle to talk about is my older sister, which I don't feel like getting into right now, but it's just learning to understand why I don't like talking about her or talking about the issues that she's dealing with. And it has to do with like coming to terms that, you know, she's walking this path that I necessarily don't agree with. And it's things like that, knowing exactly why you feel that way, why it's so hard to talk about, and honestly what you're capable of talking about is a big thing, a part of it as well, because a lot of the time I can be okay with talking about where she is now, but it's hard for me to talk about the things that she has done in the past, because I myself am still healing from that as well. But it's things like that, just identifying what bothers you, how your level of comfortability talking about it, and exactly why does it bother you, is what many need to identify in order to heal from these sort of things. Regulating emotions. So I'm very empathic, and I tend to feel a lot and almost pretty much everyone's emotions around me. And it can be very hard, because sometimes it's like identifying, is this really me feeling this way, or is this someone who I like briefly talked to earlier? It's kind of like identifying if you are really feeling this, and if you are, it's just learning how to breathe through it and identify what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and what you can do to help, you know, bring that awareness and that, I guess, that highest point down to where you need it to be. For example, like if I'm having anxiety, it's trying to identify, you know, I'm having anxiety, which is fine. I'm identifying the emotion, that's completely normal. However, it's trying to identify what triggered the anxiety, what led me to this moment, and kind of just taking a breather and breathing through it. Many people, you know, regulate their emotions differently. In a previous video, I showed myself going outside and connecting with Mother Earth while I regulate my anxiety. Many people do this by, you know, working out, hanging with friends. You know, it's finding what works for you that helps regulate your emotions. Validating yourself. You know, sometimes people are like, think like, oh, I'm taking this too personal, or they didn't really mean it that way, it's not directed towards me. But you have the right to feel the way you do. Everyone has the right to validate their own emotions, so it's knowing that it's okay to feel the way you do, and it's just knowing that your emotions are real and they are just as important as how someone else would feel. I know I previously stated some books that helped me sometimes, and there's other ways you can find support in regulating and practicing emotional wellness. I previously mentioned a couple books, so I'm going to bring them up right now because I can't remember off the top of my head. The 4 Agreement. So it is hard. I read that book, and something that I still struggle with is learning to not take things personal. However, it's finding balance with that as well. In order to not take things personal, sometimes you need to remember, like, is this person really acting this way because they're upset with me, or is it something else? And it's kind of as well as holding them accountable, really, too. It's not really just about, oh, like, invalidating your own feelings. It's about validating as well as holding people accountable for how they act with you. Another book that I mentioned is Emotional Intelligence. Now, I quite haven't finished it, but so far it's been helpful. It gives you more tools on how to emotionally regulate yourself as well as validate your feelings. I do recommend reading that. I believe I got it from Barnes & Noble, and I think it's still available. I'm pretty sure it's still available. But I haven't finished it yet, so but so far it's been helpful, so I recommend looking into that book as well. As well as like identifying support, people who you can go to talk to. I have a few people I go to talk to, and sometimes you know, I just tell them, you know, like I just need to rant, or I need advice, or sometimes I just need you to be there with me and just hang out and get my mind off of things. It's identifying support like that that helps as well. So the next areas of wellness is mental wellness. So what is mental wellness? We'll think of mental issues such as like anxiety, depression, PTSD, even eating disorders. I'm not going to go into much detail about the different types of mental illness, but that's kind of what it entails when we talk about the mental area of wellness. You have to, sometimes people struggle with these illnesses, and it can be very hard to navigate and to kind of like overcome. You know, you never really get, I guess, get rid of it. You're always going to live with those type of disorders, and it's just learning how to live with it that really matters. What does mental wellness look like? Like I said, it can look like many things. Mental wellness has to do with growing your mind, healing from your traumas, and learning to live life knowing that, you know, despite having these illnesses or these disorders, I'm still here. It's learning how to be proud of yourself and how far you've come. How can we achieve mental wellness? Know when to seek help. Sometimes a lot of people, it takes people a long time to reach out and say, you know, I have a problem and I don't know how to go about it, and I feel entirely scared. And I could say like my own journey with mental illnesses is still a very long one. But as a child, you know, and as a teen, it took me a long time to realize that I do need help. And even then, like, I still didn't fully understand it until I got older. And it's also knowing what you struggle with. So researching how your certain disorder or anxiety, depression, whatever it is you're struggling with, how it affects you, and how to understand the symptoms that it comes with. A lot of the time people think of depression as like, oh, feeling lonely, or feeling like you don't want to live anymore. It is those things. However, it's also feeling like like a pit in your heart, and it's just like feeling like you're not enough, feeling like this. You can be very happy and still have depression. I am a very happy person, and every now and then I get depressive episodes, and it's just a random feeling of just feeling like, you know, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Questioning whether your reality is real or not can be very harmful on one's mind and body. But it's knowing how to overcome it, and that makes you very, very strong. Try to remove those unhealthy habits. I know one thing I struggle with that leads into anxiety, to depression, and in the past I used to have eating disorders, and it would often lead to that, is overthinking. You know, I struggle with it every day. Oh my god, it like literally, it's a pain in the ass. I picture myself at a train station, and I picture those thoughts as a train, and I watch them go by. And then I think of positive thoughts, and as that train comes to a stop with a positive thought, I get onto that train, and I try to take it all the way with breathing in deeply, in and out, until I can feel my anxiety kind of simmering down. That's a tactic I like to use. Like I said, regrounding myself helps. Sometimes I need more than just that I need to talk to someone or cry. I don't like crying in front of people. There's very few people that I cry in front of, and those are the people that I trust immensely. Once you're able to let go of all that emotions, all that doubt that you have in your mind, you're able to move forward in life with a much positive outlook. I noticed that I tend to feel more good about myself and more positive and more motivated when I eat something healthy. Don't get me wrong, I still eat junk food. I'm not perfect. I love junk food. But sometimes it's just in that moment when I'm feeling down is when I need something that's more filling and more healthy for the body. A lot of the times I'll eat soup, and like progressive soup, or like, I don't even know if that's even healthy, but that's foods that I like to eat, like a soup. I don't know, just something about soup that just makes me feel like more at peace with myself. Therapy is not for everyone, but I highly recommend it because those are professionals that can give you tools on how to, you know, take care of yourself mentally. And those are the professions that you can go to and rely on and fully be yourself without feeling judged, because they don't really know you. Well, you tell them your life, but they don't really know you in that sense to where they have the opportunity or the privilege to judge you. I journal a lot, and in the past I used to hate journaling because like I was never consistent with it, and that's perfectly fine. I'm still not consistent with it, but I've gotten better at journaling when I'm feeling down. I mostly just journal when I have episodes of depression or anxiety. Those are the times where I journal, is like when I'm feeling those emotions, and that's pretty much the times that you want to journal. Sometimes people just journal just to like document everything of your life, but sometimes that's not really needed unless, you know, you're one of those people. That's okay. If you want to do that, by all means, go ahead. But if you want to use it as a way to help, you know, grow mentally, then I would just recommend just journaling when you feel that way. You don't have to journal all the time. You don't even have to like really talk about it. In the past, I used to write poems about how I felt, or I would draw about how I felt. You can journal any way you want to, as long as it works for you. So the next area of wellness is physical wellness. You know, what is physical wellness? It's not about being skinny or being slim thick. It's just about being active and being healthy. You know, there's different forms of healthy. It's just about making sure your body is active, so that way you don't cause problems to your joints or your muscles in the future. It has nothing to do with being skinny. It has nothing to do with having a big butt or like big arms. It just has to do with being healthy physically. I can tell you, like, people who are bigger are healthy. People who are skinnier are healthy. It just depends how your body was made. The body I have right now is completely healthy. I balance my eating. I shouldn't say I eat healthy, because I do eat healthy, but I also eat junk food half the time. But I also stay active, mostly because in the past, what motivated me to stay active was to be skinny. But because of my past eating disorders, I've learned to come to terms that, you know, my body is beautiful the way it is, and rather just instead of working out to be society's standard beauty, I work out to help benefit me mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, to help bring that balance into those 4 areas. I don't work out for other people. I work out for my own mental health now. I work out for my own health, period. And that's pretty much all you really want to do in life, is just work out for yourself, not just to make yourself look beautiful, which you are beautiful no matter what. How can we achieve physical wellness? You know, not everyone is able to be active, so it's being grateful for the body you have and what you're able to do. I know many people who were active, but because of unfortunate circumstances, many people are confined to a wheelchair, or their muscles are too weak for them to do extensive workouts. I myself have a joint disorder, and I can't be doing like weightlifting or overstrenuous cardio because I can risk an injury to my body. So it's being grateful for what you do have. Depending on comfortability, it's looking for things that work for you. Some people are able to do weightlifting, some people are able to do high impact workouts, and you can totally do that. For me, it's low impact workouts like Pilates and less strenuous cardio. So like even dancing can be a lot for me, and sometimes I don't push myself too hard. I just do what I can and what my body is capable of in that moment. Don't push yourself too hard because you do not want to risk an injury, because that is not fun. Take care of yourself. So if your body is hurting, if you're sore, if you feel like you overpulled a muscle, it's okay not to work out for a day. I'd rather you guys stop and heal that injury or heal your body before trying to work out and already making it worse. I recommend some videos to watch on my TikTok vlog, and you know, those are the usual videos that I tend to watch, but sometimes I get bored and I switch it up, so it just depends. But those are the main YouTubers that I use and that I watch. Move with Nicole, I really love her Pilates workouts. I feel like I feel at my healthiest when I follow her, and she doesn't go too fast. She goes slow and she goes into detail on how to do the workout properly. She has a variety of videos. I think she has 10-minute videos, 5-minute videos, 40-minute videos. Like, she has it all. Okay, the next one is spiritual wellness. What is spiritual wellness? It can vary. A lot of people have different spiritualities and different religious beliefs. There's so many in this world, and it's just about, you know, believing in a higher power. No, higher power is the right word that I want to use. And what can spiritual wellness look like? Often it depends. A lot of people go to church. A lot of people go to ceremonies for Native people. How you worship is like, you can do that as well. It can look like many things. We live in such a diverse world. It just really depends on where you come from, what you were raised on. Cleansing yourself. So as a Native person, I cleanse myself by going to sweat ceremonies and smudging myself. Depending on how you do it, you can cleanse yourself with like incense, or even just taking a Epsom salt bath. That is cleansing yourself. It's about, if you pray to who you find support in, who you find comfort in for guidance. Your mind and your words can be very powerful. I'm a firm believer, what you put out there you will receive back, whether it's negative or positive. Regrounding, so like I said, being one with nature, being one with your high source of power, can really help grow your spirituality. The whole point of this is realizing, you know, our life begins in a circle. We start from birth and we make our full clockwise journey until our time on this earth is over. This is the balance of nature, and much like how there is the circle of life, there is what my people call the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel is the 4 areas of wellness, the 4 directions, the 4 seasons, the 4 stages of life: infancy, adolescence, adult, and elder. Everything starts with a circle. It's learning to balance those 4 areas though that will help you grow in life. Each area needs balance, and if you are too focused on another, you can become blindsided by the other areas weighing you down. Remember to be gentle with yourself. Try to remember what you put out into this world is what will come back to you. And 2023 awaits you. So, bye.